I will just go ahead and get out of the way. You had a run-in with Josh Berry at Phoenix.
In IndyCar, if you're passing someone, you just take the preferred line.
Ah.
I totally passed him and took the PJ1 on the top on the preferred line and put him out in the marbles. And I had no idea. And I got the double bird.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, that was for me. And I was like, what did I do?
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. We got a great guest for you today. Santino Ferrucci is going to be our guest. And so Santino is a driver full-time in the IndyCar Series for AJ Foyt. And I've been a big fan of this guy since he came into the IndyCar scene, probably back in 2018, 2019. He ran his first Indy 500. And yeah, he's got a checkered past. I think a lot of people have him misunderstood. And we're going to learn about him today. I don't know everything about Santino, but he's a pretty cool guy. So let's get started and let's have some fun. All right, so Santino Ferrucci on the Dale Jr. Download. This is something I've been looking forward to. How you doing, bud?
Dude, I'm doing great. This is like kind of surreal. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah. Man, I had wallpaper view in my room. Dude, yes. There was the, when you drove the A car, I had the wallpaper going around my room.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. I mean, I think you've told me that before, but it's always crazy to hear shit like that because I don't think of myself as a really old person, but it does put things into perspective. As a 50-year-old, I don't mean to make you feel old. No, it's fine. I just never, I don't know. I just never think about things like that. But it's pretty cool to think, you're in the middle of your career, you're competing and full time in IndyCar and have been for a couple of years now, and that you grew up with. I don't realize how long ago that was, right? The old Bud stuff and all those days. But this day is about you, man. Yeah. I'm a big fan of yours. I got the chance to go to the Indy 500 for the first time working with NBC back in 18, 19. You ran your first year at Indy and ended up in the top 10. You had this really cool wreck avoidance a couple times throughout the day. Drove a really good race, had good speed, and you've done that ever since at Indy. But I thought you had a cool name. I also knew that you had a little bit of you'd caused some drama and some stirred some up in the past, and you're trying. And I like an underdog or a comeback or a redemption story, and I felt like that rookie year at Indy was kind of your road back to like getting where you wanted to be as a professional race car driver. And I've had a chance to talk to you since then, ran into you at the damn Kentucky Derby one year. So, I mean, I see you out and about. You're always awesome, always excited to say hello. I love the attitude. And so let's chop it up, man. I want to know everything about you. Where were you born?
Man, I was born in Woodbury, Connecticut. So a real small town, 7,000 people. Spent my summers in upstate New York at a go-kart track called OVRP. Just went to public school, missed 80 days a year, which was not great.
Yeah,
but,
racing?
Yeah, a lot of racing, a lot of traveling. Grew up going across the country with my dad.
What's the history of your family? Like, where are the Ferruccis from? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so I'm a third-generation American. So my grandma and my parents were all born here. My great-grandparents were born in Italy. My dad's side from Sicily. And so my name is not from The Godfather. It's actually my great-grandfather's name was Santo, and so that's the derivative is Santino. So
awesome.
That's how I have my not very American name.
Well, it's a good racing name. I mean, when I first saw you on an entry blank, I would have never assumed you were from Connecticut. But why racing? Why were you connected to racing? Why did your dad want to be involved in that? Is that something that had been part of your family for a while?
No, so my dad, of all things, he grew up and did a little bit of drag racing, and so he worked for a guy named Grumpy Jenkins at one point. And
who's that?
He, I still don't know exactly who he is, but I guess he was a pro stock driver back in the late 70s, 80s, I'm gonna guess. And my dad was a kid, and one of his best friends had a team, and they built a 70s Chevelle to run in pro stock. And when he passed away, my dad had kind of stopped racing. So he took me to a local go-kart track when I was 5, and I just fell in love with the speed of the go-kart. Like, I had the opposite problem most kids have. They were trying to figure out how to slow me down, so I'd stop driving off the track.
Yeah.
So all I wanted to do was go fast. Dirt bikes, quads. To be honest with you, I don't know how I didn't break more bones growing up as a kid. I never broke anything.
Yeah.
But how crazy I was a total leash kid. So, yeah, it was so bad. But I destroyed everything. So growing up in Connecticut, my parents eventually bought a little go-kart track. We owned it for about 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, we owned OVRP for about 4 years, and I would spend my entire summer up there living in a little cottage, and then all my weekends in season, basically kind of when school was starting or finishing at the go-kart track. And my dad ran a team for a couple of years, and we drove across the country a bunch. Like, I remember going to Blockbuster Video and like renting like 10 DVDs, setting up my PlayStation 2 in the back of the Silverado, and towing having him tow a 53-foot trailer across the country, and I just play video games and watch movies.
Yeah. So you were featured in GQ magazine at 11 years old as a karting prodigy. How does that happen?
Some of the kids that grew up in going to the go-kart track, one of them, I believe, had a connection to the publisher, and I was just about starting my European karting career, and I'd won about every accolade you could up to my age in go-karts across the country. And I guess they thought it was a cool story, and it was one of the strangest of things that have happened in my career. I think that one goes in the top 5 of most like wild look back moments of like, I don't even understand how that happened. So it wasn't like a small article too, which was crazy.
So when you're racing as a kid, are you competing against people that would, make it to the top level as well? Do you remember racing against some of the guys that you compete against today in your amateur career? When I was a kid racing in Europe, yes. So like I grew up against Lando Norris, George Russell, Leclerc, Albon, so a bunch of kids that you actually see over in the Formula One side of our sport. There's a few kids that I definitely raced against that ended up in stock cars. Oh, who?
So I believe Dalton Sargent ended up in stock cars at one point. Oh my gosh, I'd actually have to go back and look. Zach Skolnick. Yeah. So if you remember him. So there's just few and far between. Making it into Cup, I think, was a different story. So I think it's a lot of people that I don't remember racing against, or if I did, it was a very long time ago, and it was at the same weekend. So you're very successful. You're winning races, and I always kind of find this fascinating, this part, because I've had a lot of guys that took their career to Europe, and I mean that's foreign as hell to me. Because of course I'm in circle track, stock cars, ovals, and all that stuff. I didn't grow up racing on road courses or go-karting on road courses, and that wasn't really ever a direction I was going to go. So it's so foreign to me to hear, 11, 12, 14, 15-year-old kids going, yep, that's when I went to Europe, and I raced in Europe forever, for 4 or 5 years. So explain to me, like, how that decision comes about,
you and your father, y'all were traveling, you're winning, you're racing, you're conquering everything you're trying to do here in the United States. So when do you remember the first mention of, well, we need to go to Europe?
Man, I actually probably remember the track, and it was Newcastle, Indiana. And I just finished in like the top three of two of the three classes I was running in WKA for the championship. And a guy named Jay Howard actually brought it up to my dad about potentially racing overseas. And, to me and my dad, that was also, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we could have afforded to do. They had like this foreign exchange program for racers at one point for one of the series in England, and I was able to become a part of it. And I ran 3 races in it's called FKS over there. It was a British karting series, and I actually had to go down 2 classes. So I was in juniors running like a 35 horsepower go-kart here, and I had to switch back to basically almost a kid kart.
Oh.
And yeah, my first weekend, I just thought I'd show up and just absolutely destroy all these kids. I finished dead last.
Oh no.
Dead last at PF International. That was the most heart-wrenching thing that I've ever done. And, I was just kind of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm overdriving everything. And so, went back home, spent a winter just kind of trying to figure out what to do. We had some local sponsorship from Lime Rock Park to go, hey, why don't you try this out for a year? It took about a year before I won my first race.
In Europe.
Yeah, in Europe.
When you go back to run for a year, what are you competing in?
So I was competing in, I believe it's called Mini 60. So the front tires, I kid you not, are about 2 inches wide, and the rears are what you'd have for your normal go-kart front tires on a junior or senior.
So it didn't turn very good.
No, and the momentum was everything. So you had to learn how to not move the steering wheel at all and not have a little slide it was perfect precision karting. It's the slowest go-kart that I'd ever run, because even Comer 80 when I was growing up was way quicker than this.
Yeah.
So it just was like a reset. And once I won a race and I started competing every weekend in the top 5, in the top 10, I eventually stayed with it, and I had sponsorship to stay. Moved up into the junior level there, and I was ranked at one point 5th in the world at CIKFIA finals. And then my career kind of took a stop because I wasn't quite old enough for cars, but I was getting a bit too old for go-karts if I ever wanted to transition.
Yeah.
So I kind of paused I had almost a gap year and a half. So that and sponsorship was tough. So
where did you do? Go back home?
Yeah, I went back to Connecticut. I actually went back to high school for a year and a half.
Damn.
So, yeah.
And you didn't race anything?
No, I wasn't even running karts back at home.
How old were you then?
First year of high school would have been 2012. I came home and finished my last karting event. I was, oh my gosh, I'm 27 now. Might have been 13.
But you ended up going back to Europe.
Yeah. So
How?
I had same sponsor, came back, wanted to help me with my first year and a half of cars. So instead of, had to get my license, went to good old Skip Barber.
Yeah.
Did actually, of all things, I did Skip Barber with Colton Herta. We did the Winter Series together.
Oh.
Which was pretty awesome. It was fun. It was 4 or 5 races. We got to run Sebring, Laguna. I had a reverse gear blowout at Sebring, and he flipped over me.
Oh, no.
Oil on the track, and yeah, that was the scariest car accident I mean, you're coming from go-karts where everything happens so slow, and you have that happen, you're just kind of like, okay, it's a little real.
Yeah.
Then I did Formula Ford 2000, did 4 races there, and I jumped into F3 over in Europe with where Verstappen was at the time, and
Yep.
Albon, Ocon, and a bunch of these other guys.
But you're downplaying, like, F3 is that's not many steps from the top.
No.
So are you winning? Are you successful? Are you performing how you want to perform to be able to get to those opportunities?
I was in a go-kart. It took me a while to become very good. In a car, I was a lot quicker to understand it because everything happened so much slower. So when I jumped into Skip Barber or jumped into the Formula Ford, I was instantly competing against guys that had been there. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, why not go run some I did a bunch of testing in F3. I did 4 or 5 days of testing. Well, a bunch.
Who are the teams that are giving you these opportunities?
So the first one was Euro International. It was an Italian-based team. I had met them from my karting. I had a good reputation from go-karts and looked like I could have been one of the rising stars to come up into cars.
Yeah.
So like same where you have some of your dirt kids that come up like.
Is your dad over there with you?
Yeah. So my dad was traveling over there with me because I was 15. Yeah. I was starting to run in a local F3 series at 15, and then I was going to switch to the FIA F3 series when I turned 16.
And he's helping you with these relationships, but you're also, I'm just kind of trying to understand how you're developing relationships, partnerships, getting, what was the experience like for you, I guess, creating relationships with these teams?
So when I had, just before I'd started the European cars with, say, Euro International and a couple others, I had been introduced to an agent, and he was from England, and he had all the connections to a couple of different teams and was helping open some doors for my dad and for myself. Yeah. So I eventually was able to get opportunities to test in F3. I did well in the testing, and they thought that I'd be fine just jumping into the F3 series. There is a series below it at the time was called Formula Renault 2.0. And with sponsorship and funding, I had more of a limited time to progress because it was really expensive. So they just figured, if you're comfortable with it, why not just jump into the big series and see what happens. And my first full-time year was in 2015 for Milke Racing, which is a German team out of Berlin. And it was, I think the entry grid was 36 cars.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was a pretty massive grid. It was awesome. I had a couple of podiums in my first year being part-time.
Yeah.
I had a couple of podiums. I had a couple of wins as well my first year in 2014. And then in 2015, I just had a bunch of podiums, and I did pretty reasonable in the championship. I didn't quite beat one of my teammates, but we were a 4-car team. Yeah. So it was a good year for me. I progressed, I thought, really well. And so did the team. And we decided to jump into GP3 the following year, which is what runs with Formula One in 2016.
I want to tell you about our awesome partner, American Financing. By now, you probably heard the name, but here's something you might not know. You might be able to delay your next 2 mortgage payments by calling American Financing today. You heard that right. You might be able to go 2 full months with no mortgage payments. Imagine what you could do with all that extra cash in your pocket. Maybe you could plan a trip, go to the racetrack you've been wanting to check out. Whether you delay payments or not, the average American Financing customer saves around $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. Who wouldn't want that? Plus, American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to consolidate debt. And here's the best part. Their mortgage consultants are salary-based, which means they're working for you, not a commission. They can help you learn how to restructure your loans to get ahead with no upfront fees. They are also a family-owned mortgage lender that's been around for 25 years. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Call now. That's 866-877-2322. That's 866-877-2322. Or visit americanfinancing.net/Dale. So you were the youngest winner in Formula 3 at 16. You won two races and 3 starts in British Formula 3.
Yes.
All that stuff's going really well. You traveled to New Zealand in 2015 to compete the Toyota Racing Series. What was that like?
Dude, that was wild. I actually totally forgot about that. It was a winter series, so it's the only way to practice and get testing. You're not allowed to test in open wheel cars ever. It's super restricted, I think, just to keep budgets down and to keep really, really rich kids from running all day long.
Yeah.
So, which was great for me. So since I couldn't afford to test, and it was 6 weeks over in New Zealand. Me and my dad actually, you just travel hotel to hotel. We brought our golf clubs. So between traveling the island every weekend you're racing, you didn't really do anything Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So, and the teams were traveling track to track. So we went and also kind of made a little vacation out of it, because how often do you think that we would go to New Zealand?
Yeah.
So it was,
It's amazing. I hear it's beautiful. I've been to Australia, but never been to New Zealand, and hear some amazing things about it.
Yeah, I think Queenstown was by far my favorite experience of places that I'd been. It's on the list of places I want to go back to.
Yeah.
So at some point in my lifetime.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of cars were they?
They were so the F3 that they were running there was called a Tatus F3. It was a little bit slower than the FIA F3 I was going to step into for the 2015 season.
Yeah.
But it was a really good learning car, similar tire. A couple of the competitors that were there were going to be similar competitors to who I was going to run against in FIA F3. So it was, getting a good idea of racecraft and what to expect. FIF3 was just way more competitive.
Yeah.
So FIF3 it doesn't exist anymore. It's now a regional series in Europe. F3 is now what I raced at the time would have been GP3. So they kind of rearranged some stuff.
Yeah. So GP3 is what you got into in 2006 and 2016.
Yes.
Are you, in your mind, I know you're still young and you're probably not really thinking too far ahead, but your intention is to go to F1, right? And that's the path you're on.
That had been my path since I started in Europe. And, growing up as a kid, I idolized Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
So I was always watching the F1 races. I was always following that. It was my dream to go there. And once I got to GP3, it became a lot more realistic because I was signed as a development driver for Haas as the only American.
Right.
So,
I was going to ask you if you felt like throughout your entire experience in Europe with Formula 3 and did you ever feel like you had to try harder, you had to do more, prove yourself more, were you discounted because you were an American?
I didn't believe at the time that I was discounted because I was American, but I was trying. I think the problem was I got too mentally into it. I was living in Italy. I was training every day. I wasn't going home, so I was just going back to a training facility in Italy and just working out, and also kind of forgetting to be a kid and enjoying, what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it started to become, more and more of a chore. But then I got to drive the F1 car for the first time.
When did that happen?
At Silverstone in 2016.
A real deal F1 car.
The current year. So at the rule in F1.
How nervous were you when they said you were going to do that? Like, I mean, I would not have been able to sleep.
I was freaking out, but I was also at the same time so excited because this was like my dreams coming to reality.
Yeah.
And, in GP3, I was having an okay year. It was a brand new team for the series, so, we were all we were having good weekends and bad weekends, trying to figure out the car. And, the biggest thing that they tell you when you're development drivers, hey, don't hang around in the F1 paddock too much because we consider it a distraction.
Oh.
And all I wanted to do was sit in there and look at the car and sit in the engineering meetings and try and learn and decipher what's going on. But, you're told you can't do that. So I was at a bit of a crossroads, and I'll never forget how much I was training for this car because it's all neck. And the night before, they hand me like a 51-page booklet. And I was like, what's this? So this is every error code on the steering wheel. Dude, I started going through this thing, and I was like, they don't tell you anything about the car. And it's like half in Italian, because it's partnered with Ferrari, and it's half in English.
Wow.
I was just like, all right, this is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And then driving the car, they were like, we're not going to drive in the rain because it's England. Just we don't want you to wreck it. But just go out, take your time, enjoy it. Pulling out for the install lap, coming up the hill. I kind of remember stepping on it, and it's so easy to light the rear tires up.
Yeah.
And then what freaked me out the most is there's no steering wheel feeling.
It's just light.
It's light. I mean, it's like turning the air. It's like you go to your gym and take a 5-pound plate and turn that.
Right.
And it was creepy, and the car was so fast, and everything was just everything that you could ever imagine was on the steering wheel. You could change the differential on the fly. You could go through all these engine settings and power settings, and the way that the car sounded. It was so quiet at the time because this was still the first few years of the turbo.
Yeah.
So you can hear the turbo, and then when I went down the backstretch the first time, I'll never forget it because the cars have such a high ride height. It started to hit the ground and drag the ground, and it was so loud. I was like, "There's something wrong. Like something's underneath the car, dragging something." And they're like, "Oh no, that's normal."
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I was like, not used to this. Not normal in the GP3.
What were you hoping to accomplish did you have a lap time, or did you have like a goal at the end of that? Did you get out and go, man, I feel good about what I did? What was that?
Man, the tire allotment was weird. So everybody at the test had different tires. It was
all's there?
Every team had one car. Every F1 team had one. Every F1 team had one car.
And it was all of these sort of proteges, up and comers getting laps.
Yes.
It's kind of like a school day.
Yeah, it was. Essentially what it was. It was so like whoever I had been running against in the top team at Mercedes, development driver would be in the car.
Did anybody go out there and wreck? Make a mistake or?
Not that day, not that I remember. I do remember some FP1 sessions where kids crashed cars, because FP1's important for the team to where you can prove yourself against the F1 drivers.
Yeah.
It was a 2-day test. I was in the second day. The first day was Charles Leclerc, and my goal was to just be as fast as him.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, or beat one of the current F1 drivers' times.
Were you?
Esteban and Gutierrez and Grosjean.
Yeah.
And I was quicker. I believe I was actually quicker than Grosjean for comparative lap times. And I was all excited about it. And I was having a really good, early afternoon session. Then I spun.
Okay.
And I spun in Maggots and Beckett's, which is like, I was just trying to push the car through the high speed. Mind you, I still have no feeling in the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. So I came through and I did a complete 360 and I missed the wall. Dude, I pitted so fast and got out of the car. I was like, I need about 30 minutes to just go lie down.
Yeah.
They were my thoughts. Because I didn't even know what happened. The spinning in an Indy car or in a stock car or even in a go-kart, like, you can feel it coming.
Yeah.
This car stepped out so fast, and I was backwards, I think, before I even got to the apex, and I had no idea where I was. And I was just trying to push the car on the high speed because that was my biggest deficit to, Leclerc. So I just kept building up to it, pushing it more and more. The problem is I couldn't really feel where it was. And normally cars give you a moment or a wiggle before they're going to step, and you can lift or catch the brakes. Mm-hmm. It stepped out so fast, I lit the rear tires up sideways because I didn't lift. I didn't know what had happened until it happened, and then by the time you'd spun, you're on the brakes. I kept it going and corded all 4 tires, and that was a Code Brown pit moment. I mean, so those cars are, if you wreck one, that's like $20 million worth of damage.
Yeah. Did you get to run again after that?
Yeah.
Just, calm down, come in, change tires, take a break. You got to.
Yeah.
That's always good when they have the confidence to send you back out there, even after something like that.
No, it was nice. It was relieving. They were like, hey, let's, we got to do some long runs for some actual testing. Also give you a chance to build back up to it again. And I was like, perfect. We can do some long running. The next issue was my neck.
Yeah. Getting tired.
I could not hold my head up any longer. So it didn't matter how much I trained for it. My head felt like it was attached by a string.
Jeez.
So it was just kind of like flopping all over the place in the car.
Yeah.
So not fun.
Hey, everybody, you want the latest Dale Jr. download apparel? Visit shop.dirtymomedia.com. We're always adding new stuff all the time, especially like when we say something silly on this show. We'll put it on a t-shirt. Again, check it out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. I want to transition a little bit to, there was some difficult moments in your career, and I guess one in particular, right before you actually transitioned into the IndyCar scene. There was some controversy in F2, 2018. You got banned for 4 races, fined $60,000 for intentional contact with your teammate. Was it intentional?
It was meant for me to be flipping him off.
Uh-huh.
And I had the in-car camera that race, and I was going to get right behind him and pull up real close to him. And right as I was about to do it, I was like, I think that's expensive. And because you pay your own fines. Mm-hmm. So before I moved back, because I already had momentum, I clipped him.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, I misjudged it by about this much, and it was after the checkered. I didn't do any damage to the cars.
Yeah.
That's how light the contact was. And so that kind of, I actually thought, I didn't think anything of it at the time. Came back, the stewards were like, okay, well, we need to call you in for this move and that move. And me and my teammate were getting into it that race weekend a little bit. We were not happy with the team. At this point, we'd both graduated to F2 together. We'd known each other our whole lives. Like this, you're talking about someone that came, like, was one of the few people that came to, like, my birthdays that I had in Europe.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy to kind of see what was happening, but either way, I didn't go to the stewards meeting because I had a flight home from England, and budget was tight, money was tight with sponsorship, and I couldn't afford to move my flights. And in hindsight, that was I needed to move my flights.
Yeah.
And I needed to go there, and I needed to, so it was a huge mistake on my part. And trust me, I really regret that. That was,
sure.
Yeah, it was probably one of the biggest mistakes, if probably the biggest mistake in my career.
you had that happen. You also got a fine for being in your car with your phone, being a goofball. Just kind of. I mean, I've done that. I've run around the racetrack recording laps, holding my cell phone up, in testing and so
I was
forth.
transferring the car to a different paddock.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's it.
I wasn't in the race. We weren't
No.
racing.
Yeah.
People, yeah, it's so crazy. People think that I was like completely banned and lost my FIA license, and I was racing around with my phone.
Yeah.
And I had a 4-race ban, which was 2 weekends, and I got my, international A back, paid my fines, and then I had my phone because we had to transfer paddocks in Silverstone, and we were all listening to music pre-race, fired up the car, and I still had it in my pocket. So instead of losing it, in the floor, because I'm so damn short, and you got to pull the nose cocks off, I put it in my hand.
Yeah.
So we're on rain tires doing a transfer. And yeah, and I got out and I handed it to the mechanic, and because I had the in-car camera, they could clearly see that I handed my phone off.
Is the idea that you're not supposed to have your phone because it could also be a device? Is there, is it like, because that's the way they are with us. They don't want us to have our phones in our cars, in a cup car, in a stock car, because there's just so much Bluetooth technology and different ways you could probably do traction control or whatever.
I think it was just the no phones while driving, like the texting and driving thing.
So when you showed up at Indy for your rookie year, you're fresh off of the heels of all of this in Europe, right? And you've left Europe. You've sort of divorced that plan, that path to go to F1. How hard was that? Were you heartbroken? Were you like, nope, I'm ready for greener pastures. Let's go do this IndyCar thing. How hard, I guess, was it to have to give up on this plan or this dream of F1?
Man, it was tough. I mean, that was my whole goal. I never wanted to be in IndyCar, believe it or not, because I just thought it was dangerous. And you see everybody that gets injured or is passed away, and so I didn't really think anything of it. It's funny because a lot of people think of it as like where people go that they can't make it in Europe, and that wasn't the reason I didn't want to be in IndyCar. I thought IndyCar was just flat out dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't want to be here. And, seeing what happened with my career, to be honest with you, I just thought my career was over.
Completely.
Completely.
Yeah.
I called my team owner in IndyCar at the time, which was Dale Coyne, and I was just like, hey, man, like, this is what happened. It's in the news. I'm so sorry, but I totally understand if you don't want me in the car for the rest of the 2018 season or moving forward. And he was like, I don't care. He's like, no, just come back and keep racing, and we'll figure it out. We'll talk it out. We'll figure out what we can do. And came back, and the first race I did back was actually this race here, where I'm at in my camper, which was Portland. And just it was a really, really tough weekend for me mentally, because it's the first time that I'd been back at a racetrack really, and had been around people and fans and a team, and
since the controversy.
Yeah, and I did a podcast with Marshall Pruitt explaining it kind of in depth, and it was like very emotional for me, and I was just really having a hard time getting through it. Still a hard time for me to even like think about, to still talk about. Like, dude, I mean, like, it like wrecked me. Like, I still have nightmares about this stuff.
Yeah.
And we are now 7 years down the road.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, this track brings back a lot of memories of that.
Yeah. Well, I remember you coming into IndyCar, and I don't know a lot about IndyCar. I'm crushing like this sort of, I'm going through this sort of like supersonic home study of drivers, their careers, their history, trying to prepare for the Indy 500. And I'm getting this opportunity to be part of the broadcast team, and I wanted to kill it, because otherwise they were going to say, "Hey, who's the stock car guy? He don't belong on the show. He don't know anything about this, IndyCar. He doesn't belong here." And I wanted to make sure that I had a good review by the end of it all. But I was reading about you, and I was reading about the controversy and the trouble that you'd had, and something in me, like I felt like, look, man, this guy, he's young, he made some mistakes, but something tells me that he's the kind of person that can learn from those and make the adjustments. Some people make those kind of mistakes in life, and they don't have the self-awareness to say, yeah, I should have done that differently. They don't have remorse. They don't grow from it. But I could see it, I think, in you, that you were thinking, man, I f***ed that up. I've got this chance over here in IndyCar. I'm going to try not to f*** this up. I'm going to try to make this work. And that's what you've done over the past 7 years, is try to make this one count. I don't know if I've got that completely correct, but that first year as a rookie, I don't know, man, it was fun to watch you in the race, but I also love this sort of idea of redemption. And man, yeah, I've got this checkered past. I'm owning it. You talked about it on the podcast. You've answered all the questions that anybody's ever posed about it. And you're wanting to move forward and move on and try to show people that, hey, man, that's not who you think I am, or who people are telling you I am is not who I am. Because the guy that I know and the guy that I've met and ran into from time to time is a good guy, and a hard racer. He likes to have fun, likes to take risks on the racetrack, which I enjoy too. That you got a good personality, a colorful personality that's good for the series. Do you think that when you got to, in 2019 going full-time in IndyCar with DCR, are you thinking, hey, man, I've got to earn back the respect, I got to change the narrative around who people think I am?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing for me was to not crash or to have any altercations with anybody or anything.
Yeah, right.
Whether it be drivers or fans or this. I mean, my whole first year coming back, the doing the autograph sessions was like brutal for me, because like people would just look at me and walk off. And like you're laughing, I still deal with this today.
Oh, I know.
It's
why do you think?
It cracks me up every time. I was just like, take a minute to like just talk to me. Yeah. Like I get that you hate me, and but
what do you think it is that people dislike? I honestly don't see anything that rubs me the wrong way. And look, I don't rub elbows with you every single week at the racetrack, but everything I've seen about you is not problematic at all. Why do you think it's taken so long to kind of like turn around the storyline?
I don't know.Maybe it has to do with my some of the mistakes I've still made in IndyCar with my driving style. Some of the interviews that I've done, there's a couple of that I've done in IndyCar that I'm also not very proud of. That I had one last year at Detroit. Which
what did you do in the interview?
Oh, in Detroit?
Yeah.
I got a little hot-headed after a practice session with two of the Andretti cars, and I wasn't really thinking about it, and I called them teammate boyfriends or boyfriend teammates or something like that. And I didn't realize that I had said it, because it's not what I was thinking in my head, because they're like best friends.
Yeah.
So, and I see them all the time, you know, and I grew up with Kyle, and I grew up knowing Colton, and it's not what I meant. But people took it, and they were just like, see, he's still the same old person. And I was just like, it's not what I meant. It's like, I have a lot of respect for these guys, and they're using their cars to hit other people on track, and I'm just fed up with it because they think that they're better than everybody else.
Yeah. People are passionate. People are passionate.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, I don't know. I think that the other thing I guess I wanted to talk about is your I think one thing that keeps the narrative going, the negative narrative around you, is your beef with Conor. And I give Conor a hard time because I tell him that I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of Conor's too. And I like Conor, and I think Conor's a great guy. But y'all have outwardly told each other that you're not big fans of each other. You don't like each other. I don't know where it is today. But just a few weeks ago, y'all had contact at Mid-Ohio. So I guess it's still brewing. But and Conor, see, the reason why this doesn't work for you, or the reason why this is bad for you, is because Conor is kind of looked at as the golden child, or the good guy, or you know what I'm saying. He has this reputation in IndyCar as the good guy, and man, everybody wants Conor to make it, and everybody wants Conor to have. He's kind of the underdog too, in a way. Y'all are really kind of similar, honestly, in where you are in your careers. I think you both have good talent, and you just aren't in the exactly in the right situation to really seize the opportunity to show it. But do you guys? I mean, and I think that works against you. I think that beef that y'all have, if there's a way for y'all to squash it, would be a good benefit for both of you.
Yeah, I respect him a ton as a race car driver. I mean, running with him on the ovals, he's like one of the few people that I feel like I can truly run really hard and like kind of let loose a little bit, and he can do the same. And we both believe in our ability enough to know that we can put on a hell of a show racing each other and not crash. And I think a lot of people after Mid-Ohio, I made a mistake in Mid-Ohio. I missed the apex, and I just drove into him. Looked up from my spotter calling him on the outside, and I drove into him. And, he had his mistake in the pit lane where I rear-ended him, and I thought he brake checked me, and we talked about it. We were ever going to go out and play golf together and be buddies? I don't know. But racing each other, like, I love racing him on an oval, man. He's probably... It's just... The way that you can run someone like that is just different than you can run, like, say, a rookie or, someone that's newer in the series that didn't have a lot of oval racing growing up, where you got to tiptoe around a little bit. So, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be cool if we're all three ever in the same city, that we all three would go to dinner together. That'd be pretty interesting.
that would definitely that'd be fun, man. That'd be
I can mediate.
That'd be great. I think we'd have a blast.
I want y'all to go golfing together. I don't even play golf. I'll go golf. I'll go play golf. We'll have a threesome and chuck it around a little bit.
I think it's kind of funny when I first came back, going back to 2019, that race, that 500. I had two goals that year. I wanted to finish and prove to everybody that I don't just crash all the time, and I finished all but one race, which for a rookie was pretty awesome. And I also wanted to prove that I can be quick and I can get through everything. But I got to race with TK that day as well, quite a bit, and I don't think I'd ever been so frustrated racing someone. And then I started racing Conor a little bit. I was like, damn. I was like, one retired and the other one's, doing really good too. But yeah, 2019 was a hell of a year. So But I'd be happy to do some dinners with him.
Yeah, I'll be the mediator. I'll take y'all to dinner. Do you take a lot of pride in your 7 straight top 10s in Indy 500?
Yeah, I do. I think it's something that's unique to me. It's driving me nuts because I've come so close to winning that race twice, and I know I can win that race. So it's I would almost rather have wrecked at one point. Just to like not have to, because now it's like, oh well, you're gonna continue your top 10 streak, and I'm just to the point tell people I hope not.
Yeah,
It's like I want to win it or wreck trying to win it.
yeah.
It's I don't understand. This year was weird. We had a really good race car. We had a bunch of issues in the race, which we were just super unlucky. We had a side pod coming off the car for 120 laps that they somehow bolted back down in a pit stop. I mean, I wish it was like NASCAR in that sense, where we can just take the tape that you guys have and just stick it down on the car.
Yeah.
we don't have that. So when you put the duct tape down on the side pod, I watched it blow off before I left pit lane. I was like, that's not going to work. And then the last stop, I came in behind Pelot, and the redhead, the fuel hose got stuck in the car, and we lost a lot of time. So, My 500s have been really good, yet they've been very painful for me in the last stint for a few years.
You had a streak of 4 straight top 5s this year.
Yeah.
I would say that's overachieving. I think for your team, y'all work really hard with what you have. But I know in the competition that you're up against, I think that you have to hang your hat on those type of moments. I know you want to win races. But you're 13th in points, so to go out and have 4 straight events where you're solidly in the top 5 has to feel pretty good.
Dude, that was a crazy stretch of races for me and the team. We'd kind of just hit one of those weird strides where we were at a bunch of tracks I really liked, I really enjoyed. We had a lot of luck on our side for Detroit. We were quick, but we kind of boxed ourselves in with a strategy, and it ended up working out in our favor. And I was leading that race. It'd been a minute since I'd been behind the pace car in first, and I cooked my tires. I mean, you'd think, a 7-year veteran in the sport would know how to keep tire temps up, but oh, dude, I cooked them so bad. And what saved me was that red flag, because I couldn't get them back to. I couldn't get the car back underneath me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I'm going to drop like a rock. So once I got the car back underneath me, refired, and I was just like, okay, cool, car's back. Made a great move on Will. I love racing against, there's a few people I love racing against in this sport. Will is definitely one of them. I don't have a ton of friends down the grid, but I have a lot of respect for the old, the old guard that's been in the series for a few years.
Yeah.
A long time. Just, you always know what you're going to get when you're racing them. And it makes it a lot more fun for me. So just a lot more respectful and in that sense.
Yeah. I got a chance to kind of get I know it's not the real deal, but we did that back during the pandemic. We had those races we ran online for Fox and that were broadcast. And I got an invitation that I was very proud to get to run with y'all at Michigan. And I know everybody's at home on their sim rigs, and it's pretty, it's unserious. But some of the guys took it pretty serious. And I'll say this, man, I was really surprised at how outspoken everybody was. You have all these different nationalities, so many different cultures, so many different styles of aggression, even verbally, right? And so when we were racing online at Michigan, we run the race, and at the end of the race, everybody's all pissed off because 3 of us accidentally made it on fuel. I was from the start of the race. We got damaged, had a big pile up at the green flag, and I didn't know that my car was damaged, and we had one quick fix, and I was going to save it, but I never got the chance to use it. And so I was going so slow that I had this really great fuel mileage, and I think a couple other guys did that as well. And I remember we come down pit road and everybody was raising hell. Like, all of that for some to make it on fuel. And I was like, I could not believe it. I'm sitting there going, holy these guys don't hold back. And it was mostly Will. Will was like lighting people up.
Oh, I love Will.
I do too. And I was like, this is why, like, if the world, if the United States could see this right here, they would really want to know more about the IndyCar series, because truthfully, man, the drivers are so unique as individuals, and you all have a different opinion of how things should go on any given corner. And so, I really enjoyed kind of getting a peek behind that curtain a little bit, and it really made me understand how damn difficult it must be to race in the series where everybody is so hard-headed and so stubborn. Because that was sort of the vibe that I got, was like, all of y'all are just stubborn as like, you all think that you know exactly what needs to happen in every moment, and you have the right, you have the right attitude or the right idea, and when it doesn't go your way, it's because that son of a bitch over there didn't know what he was doing.
You got to come to a driver's meeting.
I would love to, yeah. I mean, I really, it made me a fan of the series in a unique way. I've always watched it from a distance, being a stock car guy, and I think, damn, stock car and Daytona 500 is the greatest thing ever. And I went to Indy, and I'm like, holy this is different. And I'll admit, Indy 500 is by far the greatest sporting event I've ever been a part of or ever witnessed. But the IndyCar Series has so many colors and layers to it in terms of just personality and talent. I get to pull for you, Connor, Will, I see Will out at the GoPro track every now and then.
Will's a fiend for the go-karts.
He is. And so I've become really interested in, your career and a few others as well. Getting to talk to Scott Dixon, like, this guy is freaking Superman. Like, he's done it all. But he's as down to earth. Like, you walk right up to him and talk to him, and he doesn't talk to you like he's a freaking Hall of Famer. It's pretty neat.
He's the most surreal to race against.
It has to be. It has to be.
It's just kind of like weird every time, like, I'm around him or I'm racing him. I'm just kind of like, damn, that's Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
And I've been in the sport long enough, and I'm still like, damn, that's Scott Dixon.
Yeah. It's
like,
good that
it doesn't change.
I know. I think that says a lot about your character. Like, you have that respect, and I would feel the same way. I feel the same way. Even when these old heads walk into the room, like guys my dad competed against, if I see them or if I'm in the same place as them, man, it's like, holy shit, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your trip to NASCAR. So I think this, I will just go ahead and get out of the way. And we don't have to talk about it, but you had a run in with Josh Berry at Phoenix. But that aside, let's put that aside. I was very impressed with how you adapted to this race car. It's very hard for, I think, open wheel guys to come drive our cars, and it's very hard for our guys to go drive your cars. The way they are in air, the way everything about them works, the way they feel, steering, all those things. And so it was really impressive that you adapted to the car and was able to get good speed out of it. I mean, the car you were driving was a 10th to 15th place car on most occasions, and you ran, if not there, a little bit better. What do you recall of your little quick trip to NASCAR and your experience running the Xfinity races?
Man, it was. I have to say that is something I enjoyed so much, and like, I still talk to Sam. I went and visited him in Charlotte and had dinner with him not too long ago.
Sam Hunt, he's a great dude.
Yeah, he is a amazing dude, and yeah, it was. So I'd never gotten to drive the Xfinity's car. The only preparation that I did was I did a little over a half a day in a super late with Kraz Gala, and we were getting in and out of the car together. So I was like, I wanted him to drive, I wanted to drive, because I needed benchmarks, I needed references, I needed, what can I do better? And he's super talented in a super late and does very well in Xfinity. So, I was learning as much as I could, and then the first time firing up and driving the Xfinity was Homestead.
Yeah.
So the green flag.
That's a tough one.
I didn't even get to turn laps.
No.
And, the NASCAR world is so different. You talked about driver etiquette and things you should and shouldn't do. Some of the dumb things that I had done, one of which was my first pit stop. I didn't realize you need to blip the throttle to keep the power steering unit going. I parked in the box the wrong way. Followed up by I cut a tire down trying to run the wall, and I didn't let the tire changer come back across the front. See, normally they
yeah. He tried to leave.
Yeah. So I thought I was really competitive at Homestead.
Yeah.
And it kind of like pains me because that was such a growing race, and I thought I could do really well. And of course, I took advice from Kyle Larson, and it was, okay, just go run the wall, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to do all day long was run the fence, because I've never gotten to do that, and I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity to just go and why not?
Figure it out.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun, and Sam was cool. Sam's like, dude, go take the right side down off the car. Like, I don't care. I want you to be quick. He's like, hammer down. I was like, okay. This is best thing an owner could ever tell a driver. And, I got a couple races in, going back to the Josh Berry thing at Phoenix. So I hadn't realized what I had done. So when I was racing and passing these guys, I didn't realize that if you commit underneath, you got to run the bottom. So in IndyCar, if you're passing someone, you just take the preferred line.
Oh.
So I totally passed him and took the PJ1 on the top on the preferred line and put him out in the marbles. And I had no idea what I did. I had no idea that was wrong.
Yeah.
And not correct etiquette, especially that early in the race. And when I came around, Chris Lambert was my spotter who spots the 11.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think he said something to me on the radio about Barry being out of his car, and he would say, it looks like he's going to come give you the one finger salute. And I got the double bird.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, that was for me. And I was like, what did I do? And he just goes, don't worry about it. He wrecked himself. No. He did not. I take some blame for that.
Oh, yeah, it's all right. It's all over. It's water under the bridge. But I mean, do you miss, you ran good, and I felt like, I think if you stuck with it, right, this could have developed into something more. So, you had, partial IndyCar schedule, partial Xfinity schedule, but you eventually, I guess, had to choose one or the other.
Yeah, and, NASCAR was tough because of sponsorship and budget versus I was getting paid to go run in the IndyCar.
Yeah.
And so that kind of made my choice for me. I would love to get back in the Xfinity's car. I want to run Darlington. I want to run Homestead again. Like, I would not hesitate at jumping in at some of those tracks. I didn't enjoy the road course.
What's that?
Of all things. I did not enjoy the road courses.
Yeah?
I did Indy GP, and I'll be honest with you, it's a painful road course in the IndyCar.
Yeah.
And it's just...
even worse in a car that doesn't do anything right. Yeah.
It's even worse in a stock car.
Yeah.
And, I was not a fan of those cars. You're splitting your schedule between the two, and you jump in to the stock car out of the IndyCar. You're just kind of like, man, this thing is
junk.
Atrocious.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
Running it on the mile, because I did mostly mile and a half tracks, Vegas, Old Atlanta, Homestead, just being able to like drive the car in and feel it sit and have it move around. I don't think I've ever had more fun racing people. One of the best races I had was with Allgaier at Vegas.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how hard I was trying to like, because I'd known, Justin forever from Dirt World stuff and go-karts.
Yeah.
And I was trying so hard to like push the car to its limits, push myself. The amount of times that I probably hit the wall racing, like just trying to race him at the end, just making little mistakes. I had so much fun, and it was really cool because I was racing against your team.
Yeah.
And it was, I think he was having a rough day, and our car was really good for whatever reason, and I was super comfortable. And races like that, I had a blast. Same with Pocono, man. I love Pocono.
Yeah.
I'm so mad IndyCar doesn't race there. I had a really good experience with Sam there, and then I wrecked. Then I had the last one I wrecked. I didn't realize that you could pull a car around on the outside.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the most scared I think I'd ever been in a race car.
What happened?
I was running I was just kind of running. It was stage 1, and I was just hanging out, like casually driving. And I just remember Chris coming on the radio. He says, "Well, you gonna step on it or what?" Like, because you could see I'm just like Sunday cruising. So I start stepping on it, and I start coming through the field. We get going to stage 2, and we're running all side by side really tight. And I got tight in 3 underneath Custer. And in an IndyCar, when you get tight, you kind of blip the throttle. And when I did that in the stock car, I got really tight. And then he got momentum and came around the top of me, and it just pulled the rear end around.
Right, yeah.
And I was running like 12th, and the pack, we just restarted. So I was like in the mid front of this pack. And I was like, oh, like, how do I spin in? Because like the IndyCar, it gets sideways. If you floor it, you can spin down the track.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I got sideways, and I floored it. And I was like, come on, spin down, spin. And I spun up and just created a smoke cloud. And there's like there's like 6 of us in infield medical care, and I was like, I am so sorry to everybody in here. I was like, I spun on my own. I was like, is everybody okay? Like, there's a car upside down across the line, and
oh my gosh,
dude, I was so freaked out. I had such a grip on the wheel. I was wearing white gloves, and I'm still getting hit. Chris goes, let go of the damn wheel already. I was like, okay. There was some learning to do. Yeah. But I would get back in one in a heartbeat to run any one of those types of speedway tracks, those 1.5-mile tracks.
So
awesome.
Moving forward, where do you feel like your career's at? What do you think what do you think you're hopeful for in the next 5 years or so?
Oh man, 5 years is a long ways out for me, I think, in my career. I want to stay at AJ Foyt. I really love Larry, and I love driving for AJ. And I've came into this team in 2023. Is very fortunate because, like you said, I've been part-time. I've just been running Indy and a couple other races, filling in for injured drivers. Mm-hmm. It's not a fun time in your career when you're doing that, because you don't know if you're ever going to be back into making it full-time, or if you're just going to be that part-time, driver. And you've seen drivers come back and make it full-time. And look at, in recent years, Allmendinger.
Yeah.
He's running full-time Xfinity, a couple Cup races, and now back in Cup. And he's a really talented dude, in my opinion. And, I think driving for AJ, seeing this team pull it from out of the leadership circle, where it was 23rd, 24th in points. First year, that was the goal. And also nearly winning Indy in the first year I was there was pretty awesome. And finishing 3rd. and then seeing it progress into a top 10 of the championship last year with a couple of top 5s and a bunch of top 10s, and then this year being on the podium twice. I want to win. My career, in my opinion, to be successful, if I win Indy in the 14.
Yeah,
because I want to win. Everybody wants to win Indy. I really want to win Indy. But I feel like if you do it in a Ganassi or if you do it in a Penske, it's just a little bit less special than if you do it for AJ Foyt.
AJ, yeah. No, that would be pretty insane.
And we're a small team. Small operation.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's got to be. That's talking about being on the grid and looking over and seeing Scott Dixon. I had the chance. I come by and said hey to you in your garage for the 500 one year, a couple years ago, and AJ being in there and around all of that just has to be, having had that experience, as knowing that you appreciate, the characters like AJ. It's got to be pretty crazy. I don't know what kind of pressure that's like though, driving for AJ, especially at Indy.
Man, I will tell you, my qualifying performance hasn't been great. And, it's something I've struggled with. And I know I'm not the best qualifier, but I know I'm a damn good racer, and it doesn't matter where I start for a lot of these things. And I think, AJ would come up to me, or call me after a qualifying and be like, Sunday's what pays, so get out there and do your job.
Yeah.
And, man, after the 23 500, dude, I was, heartbroken that we finished third. I was...
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't even know, I'm happy, but I'm, so mad because I was
close.
the car to beat. Yeah, I was the car to beat. In that whole race, I knew it, too. It's okay, how do I get around the 10? How do I get around the 21? And then how do I get around the 5? And once they all wrecked, I was coming to the end, I was like, it's me. There's nobody else. I was like, this is great. Just keep my cool. And yeah, I talked to AJ after the race, and he looked at me and he goes, man, keep your head up. There's so many of these races that I should have won that I didn't win, and so many there's a few that I won that I shouldn't have won. I was like, well, that's some pretty damn sound advice. So no complaints. But no, it's just being in the garage with him. I mean, you get to see he's such a legend. He's just one of the few people that lived through the most dangerous era of open wheel racing. Not without, a couple of massive crashes.
Sure.
But,
yeah, he's had his share.
Yeah, and the stories, just being down the first 2 years the team was in Houston, I'd spend a lot of time down at the shop. I'd drive down from Dallas and go to lunch with him and hang out. And he's in the shop. He loves seeing cars being built. He loves hanging out there. Larry made me drive home with him from lunch one day. Just be like, hey, go make sure he can drive home okay. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, he's 91. I was like, I'm not going to be the one to tell him you're taking his driver's license away.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's funny.
I was like, you're going to need to go de-arm him first. I was like, it's not going to be pretty. So, but he's been really healthy this last year. Come May, he's looking good. I actually think he's coming to Milwaukee, which would be one of the first races he's done that's not been Indy since I've been with the team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But he's good.
Do you have any reaction or thoughts to Fox buying interest in the series?
I think it's good. I mean, it's so unique, to see a new broadcast partner come in, and everyone's kind of been knocking them on little things, and I think that in a few years, maybe 2 years, the broadcast will actually be really good, and it will be what it needs to be to portray the different personalities in IndyCar. Because I feel like we were all pretty muted before.
Yeah.
And being able to I got to be in the booth for the Indy next race.
Yes.
And I get to go in again. And I love it. I have so much fun going up there to call races.
It gives you a good perspective of the job that the broadcast team's trying to do. I wish I would have done that as a driver. I never really did that, and
dude, you did a great job. I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, no, but I'm saying when I was driving, I didn't go into the booth, and I wish I had, because it gives you understand. Oh, that's why they do it this way, or oh, that's why they made that decision, or now I understand what their job is, and each person, and how hard they work. Right? I never really appreciated pit reporters and broadcasters and all the effort that it goes into it like I should have. It was all about me and being selfish.
It's a lot. I was surprised. Also, like, I got to be in the Flow Racing booth for the dirt races.
Yep.
And man, you gotta like be up on it too, because the heat races are so fast at the Chili Bowl. And no, I think Fox is gonna do a great job. But I mean, dude, honestly, and one of the biggest moments in 19 was you broadcasting Indy. I mean, and I had that moment through the grass, and you were talking about it. I was like, I had to watch it. I still watch it back every so often, because I was like, hey, this was me. This is Dale talking about me.
Well, man, you did a hell of a job. Good wreck avoidance. So when we started that broadcast, they were like, who are you watching? And I was like, I'm curious about this Santino Ferrucci guy. I'm curious about him. I've heard some stories. Maybe, maybe made some mistakes, but he's I'm into the underdog, and he's a rookie, and let's see what happens. Being the rookie of the race is a big deal. And so you made me look smart. You're out there, dodging those wrecks and staying in the top 10 and making some great passes and being aggressive. And I'm like, maybe I just kind of know what the hell I'm talking about here. But
well, I mean,
we both benefited from that experience.
Yeah, you without a doubt single-handedly helped rebuild part of my reputation that I feel like would have taken a lot longer.
Well,
so I'm very thankful for that. So that's what dude, like, also, like, I believe you texted me over the holidays.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I freaked out. My wife will tell you, like I freaked out. I was like, you're never gonna believe this. Yeah. I was like, Dale just texted me.
Yeah.
She's like, what? I was like, yeah. She's like, that. She's like, Dale, like Dale in her. I was like, yeah, like that Dale. And no, dude, like made my whole holiday weekend. Because I would not shut up about it.
Well, hey, we're pals. I'm a big fan of yours. I've enjoyed watching you, sort of create this opportunity for yourself in IndyCar and what you've done with Foyt Racing. And I mean, I like having somebody to pull for, somebody to cheer for, and I like to know that person, right? And it's been cool to be able to interact with you and run into you from time to time, and so I've enjoyed it, man. And I hope that you achieve all the things you want to achieve. I hope that you continue to find success, growing this team and improving this team. You got to take a lot of pride in that. I've been through that experience myself, taking a team from, all right, let's go run in the top 15. That's our goal. All right, we're doing that. Let's go change our goals to top 10s, top 5s, and it's a process. And to see it play out is really rewarding. And so I like that you want to stick around and continue that growth. And so I'm wishing the best for you, man, going forward. I've enjoyed this conversation. Can't wait to run into you somewhere. Let's go have dinner with Conor and give him a hard time. Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you giving me some time today.
Yeah, no, thank you. And like I said, it's very thankful for a lot of things in my career, especially my boss, Larry. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see where he's taking this team. Dude, he's made some tough decisions in the last 3 years. So moved it from Houston, all new crew. I've had different sets of engineers all 3 years. So I think once we start getting into the continuity of same people, it's going to be impressive, and I think we can win some races here. And that's what I feel like would be a really successful career for me, is to be doing this here.
Yeah. Well, I like that, man, and I appreciate your passion and devotion to it. Larry is a good guy. I got to know him a little bit through racing stock cars when he came down to do that for a while, and super, super nice guy, really humble, and glad to see he's found something to carry on that Foyt name and to have that commitment that he's had. It takes some guts, and it's good to see him succeeding. So wishing you both the best, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you. Santino Ferrucci on the Dale Jr. Download. So that's a great conversation with Santino. And I think there's a little bit more that we could have dove into to spell out the idea that, look, he's made some mistakes and been a goofball in the past. But I do feel like that, he truly has matured. He's trying to establish himself as a racer and trying to find his way to victory lane. I think he's got real good raw talent, and I like the edge and the risk taking and his wanting to take a car and get even more out of it. Saw that in the Xfinity Series when he came and drove. You can just see when you're watching somebody race whether you like or dislike their approach and the choices they make. And so, been kind of fun getting to know him. And you never know where you might run into him. But a lot of fun to talk to him, and I'm hoping that everybody else enjoyed the conversation. IndyCar is an incredible series with a lot of layers and a lot of personality, and he's one of those guys that's kind of in the mix. And I think if you're not an IndyCar fan, I'm kind of a casual fan up until the last probably 7 years. Once you find that driver or two or three that you get to know and really appreciate, maybe you get the chance to meet them, you start to really go, all right, man, I'm going to watch and follow this career and hope to see them have success. And that's kind of what's happened with me and Santino and several other drivers in the series as well. Now that I've had a chance to really get to know the series better over the last several years. So I enjoyed the conversation, and hope y'all did too. All right, so the white flag is out on this episode of the Dale Jr. Download, and just to tell you about all the great things that we have going on around here at Dirty Mo Media. The Teardown was live on YouTube and Twitter, as it is after every race this year with Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck. And on Monday, Action is Detrimental. Denny Hamlin let loose about the current state of Cup racing and had a lot of great, passionate, opinionated things to say about his experience in Iowa. And Door Bumper Clear also dropped on Monday as well. Me and TJ did our Dirty Air episode of the Dale Jr. Download yesterday, and tomorrow will be another episode of Bless Your Heart. Coming out today, Conor Daly, Speed Street, and also Herman Schrader. I hope you guys had a great week. We'll see you tomorrow for Bless Your Heart, and take care.